Hi everybody, it's Mark here, and I just thought I'd come on and share with you something that I came across recently that has very quickly become my favorite spread to use of all time, really. It took me by surprise. I'm astounded at its accuracy, and it really helps when you're reading for yourself to have a spread that speaks clearly with its answers. So I found it in this series of books. As you know, I've been studying the Thoth Tarot since last summer, and my studies continue. I still love the deck, and any deck that sort of mimics that deck. So these books by Marcus Katz, there are 3 volumes. The first is on the majors and general background of Thoth and Crowley. Then there's one on the courts, and then one on the minors. I can't say I would recommend these books. I mean, it was a $70 plus Canadian to get all 3, and I don't think you really need them if you have other Thoth books, especially the Milo Duquette or the original Thoth. In fact, he does quote from Crowley's original book a lot, so you might as well just read the original, as complex as it may be. I've only read it once, and after doing a lot of study on the deck, I am hoping when I go back to read it a second time, things are going to start to fall into place, which I believe they will. In any case, even if I don't recommend the books overall, I would say that you always find that one thing in a book, even if generally speaking the whole book doesn't speak to you. And it wasn't until I got to the 3rd book, towards the very last chapters, and what I came across was, I guess the good thing about the books, I should say, is that it's not just quoting from the Thoth tarot book that Crowley wrote. It's quoting in places from his private letters and notes and things. And so Marcus Katz somehow came across 15 tarot readings that Crowley actually did for himself. And he used the same method for all 15, so I can assume this is his personal method of reading tarot. So I gave it a try, and I absolutely love it. And it's a shortened version of what is known as the opening of the keys method, which is a Golden Dawn method. And that's a very long 4-step, many hour, complicated tarot spread that most people don't use all 4. It would just take too long. They usually drop the last 3 and stick to just the initial opening of the keys. And there's a counting of the cards and a pairing of cards. But Crowley even shortened that down so that he stopped as soon as he got 5 cards. That would become his spread. And it's amazing what you can do with 5 cards just all in a row, in a line, when you start pairing up cards and focusing on the center card and how the center card shifts. And another plus to this spread, it opened my eyes to the use of a significator card. We've all pretty much, that was usually the first thing we all ditched when we were reading about tarot, like, why do you need a significator card? Then you got one less card in the deck to come out into the spread. And I was totally on board with all of that for most of my tarot reading life. But the way the significator works in this spread, I find it very, very useful, and it really pulls you, or the person you're reading and using their significator, right into the reading. You're right there interacting with the cards. And I think the problem with significators when I was first learning about them was the, dumb, awful Celtic cross spread. Sorry if I've offended you. It's clunky, it's not integrated, it has never worked for me. But the first step was to, put down a significator card and then lay on top of it what would be the first card in the reading. And so that significator card is doing nothing. It's just being covered up by card 1 and then card 2, and has no meaning in the reading as far as I could tell. Well, that's not the case here. It's very much a part of the reading, and so, as I said, you are right in there interacting with the cards, and it's kind of fun and exciting. So I'm going to just demo this method for you, and we'll see how it goes. So I'm using the Rosetta Tarot, which is M.M. Moline of Fortune's Wheelhouse podcast. It's her first deck that she created, and I was lucky enough to get my hands on a few weeks back. But it's very Thoth, so it works well for me. So to get your significator, you just use that Deccan Tarot Wheel of the Year, which I've shown in other videos, and you just plug in your birth date and you get your card. So I am the big show-off Prince of Wands, and so that's my significator. So what I do is I think about the question, I have this card in front of me, kind of focused on it. I shuffle the cards as I'm looking at the significator card. Now I'll do an actual question. Let me see. I like to ask, what will the response to this video be? How will people respond to this video? How will they feel about this video? Okay, so I shuffle a bit. Now you take him, and without looking, you just place him somewhere in the deck, and then you continue to shuffle as long as you want, whatever feels comfortable. And then when you feel like you're done, you still think about the question, of course. How will people respond to this video? What will their thoughts be? Okay, I feel like I'm done. I always cut the cards, so I'll go ahead and do that. And this is the part I like. So you just locate yourself in the deck. So doesn't have to be any pulling off the top or intuitively picking cards or whatever. We're going to just find ourselves, and then we're going to count cards from there. And I'll show you how to do that soon. So I'm just looking for my card, which is the Prince of Wands. And so I'm just going through the deck like this. He might be towards the bottom. Let me just see. So once you find your card, what you're going to do is you're going to take note of the cards on either side of that card. Okay, finally I have shown up. Okay, so we don't need these cards. It took all these cards, because remember that was the top card, to find me. We'll put these aside, but keep them in order, because if I run out of cards on the other end, I'll have to start picking and counting from here. So keep them in order, put them to the side, and take note of which cards came up on either side of your significator. So on the one side, I got the Two of Swords, and that is peace in the Thoth deck, a meeting of the minds. So that says some people will think, this is a good idea, this is something that I'd like to try to use, I'm on board, I think the way Mark thinks, let's give it a try. But on the other side of my significator card is the Eight of Cups, and so some of you will be thinking, well, that's all very nice, but I can't be bothered to investigate this any further, and I like the spreads I use, and I'm going to stick with those. And the keyword on here in this deck, she's put it in hieroglyphics, but on the Thoth deck, it would be indolence. You know, so maybe this spread feels like it only has so much to give. The waters are starting to run out and that type of thing. So I'm kind of stuck between these two responses. So now the fun part starts. We start to count. So different types of cards have a different count number. And when you go to count, you always count 1 on the card you're counting from. So this would be 1. The card that was next to it would be 2, and so on. So the way it's set up, and I don't want to screw this up, so I'm going to just sort of read it off my phone. All of the court cards, except for the princesses or pages, if you're using an RWS deck, so all of them except for the page princess count as 4. So you would count, he's a prince, so I would count 4 from him. Princesses count 7, aces count 11. The small cards count the number that they are. In other words, that's 8 of cups. It would count as 8. As to the trumps, you count the cards that are zodiac signs, like the Emperor is Aries, that counts 12. The majors that have planetary connections, they count 9. Like the High Priestess is the Moon, so she would count 9. And those that are just elemental in the majors, which are the Fool, Air, Hangman, Water, Judgment, or Aeon, Fire, they count 3. And those aren't haphazard numbers. Those are numbers that are assigned, just as an example. I won't go through the reasons, but if you're in a zodiac sign, you count 12. Well, there's 12 zodiac signs, so it makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to count, because I've only got 3 cards, and I want to have 5 altogether. So he counts as 1, this counts as 2, go past card 3, and then we get to card 4. Well, I like it. So card 4 is the 6 of cups, pleasure. So if we can just get past this indolence, laziness, can't be bothered vibe, you may actually find that you really enjoy this spread as much as I do and get great pleasure from it. So one more card to find, and that is counting 6, because it's the 6 of cups. So this will count as 1. So then we go 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I love it. It's the 3 of Wands. Sun in Aries, it's exalted there. And the keyword on the card in Thoth is virtue. So people will see a lot of substance and virtue and usefulness in this particular spread. So then you've got your 5 cards, they're laid out in front of you, and because you've been counting, I forgot to mention, you count in the direction that your significator is facing, so that's how you count through the deck. So I could have counted through this pile, except for he was facing the other way. He was facing that way. Anyway, just count in that direction. So when you do that, this sits as the first card, this sits as the second card. This now becomes the central and most important card, third, then fourth, then fifth. So I will just show it to you like that. So these would all be in a row in front of you. So it kind of looks like a storyboard of sorts. Then the fun begins. You've counted out your cards, you've got your cards. It doesn't stop there. So you see, you sort of go on a step-by-step process. First we were just looking at him between these two, and now we've got a whole different set. So the main thing is we've all got to get past anyone watching this, oh, I don't know, I can't be bothered to learn a new spread, or that seems hard, or what's this counting business? So if we can get off our butts all the rest of the cards are really, really great. So now that this is the center card, if I look on either side of that center card, I end up being connected to Six of Cups. We are paired now because we are on every other side for this. So I think, so this is me, so I'm going to be very happy with the response that I get from this video, from showing this spread and getting the word out. So now we look at the two cards on the other end, and that is the Two of Swords and the Three of Wands. So they pair up nicely. Again, this is like, oh, it's almost like, oh, I don't have to look for any more spreads. This spread has just got it all. Its virtue is that it can read anything, and it's amazing. And, you know, Three of Wands is always kind of exploratory and expansive. So this is expanding my mind. I'm learning something. This is great. I will tell you right now, this is my favorite spread, and I will go on using it forever, I hope. And so that's really, really nice to see those two together. And now you can pair up the two on the either end. So these two are on either side of this, and these two are on either side of this. So it's got a kind of a Lenormand vibe kind of reading, where there's a lot of pairing in Lenormand. So yeah, it seems like that's me, will be very happy, peace of mind from how you will respond to this video that I'm putting out there. I feel good about what I put out. I said what I had to say, and I feel that it was clear communication, that my communication met your understanding to some degree. And then these two very happy cards pair up, and so it was a pleasure to do this video for you, and I hope it was a pleasure to receive as much as it seems to be in these two cards. So that's it for that spread. There's really no name for this spread. As I said, it's a very shortened version of the opening of the keys, so I started calling it the short opening of the keys, and that was all kind of clunky. So I just call it the Magick Spread, because I think it's really magical the way it works, and the counting has to do with magic, and it's from the Magic Golden Dawn Society. So for me, it's magic with a CK at the end, spread. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. Bye for now.